as we went down, that was when I could feel we were going really deep into dark, dark history. And from what I recall, it was religion, it was sacrifice, it was humans, it was children's. It was just a sickly feeling to be channeling down there. Yeah, it was just vile, really, what we were beginning to find in the team.
Is there somebody else here?
The following program has been filmed for your entertainment. Viewers may find some scenes disturbing. Thousands of tourists come to St. Michael's Cave every year, but few of them ever learn of the darker secrets that these natural walls keep. Legends of human sacrifice, terrible duels to the death, and even army soldiers who explored some of the deeper, darker tunnels and were never seen again.
Say that in olden times the Greeks, the Romans, before venturing off beyond the Pillars of Hercules, would offer sacrifices in the cave, and maybe some of them were even human sacrifices. They also would leave offerings behind, and in later times during the British occupation, the cave itself was used as a dueling ground. The British troops were forbidden to duel among themselves, but in there nobody would see you, and they would, arrange these private duels. And it is said that they used to duel up in the cave. In the 1800s, there was also a murder case where they found this body in the cave. They didn't know who the murderer was, but the body was left in the cave, and it was found there, bundled up in a corner. Now we go to the Second World War. The only casualty ever, or rather person to have died in the new St. Michael's Cave, happened shortly after the cave was discovered. It was discovered in 1942. His name was Sergeant Cook. Now, about 20 odd years ago, I took a friend of mine and a group, and a few months later I went to his house, and he said to his wife, who was Spanish, he says, "Tell Tito what you told me when we went to the cave." I said, what is it? He said, "I saw a bloke with a dog down there, a soldier with a dog." And I said, "Well, why didn't you say anything?" He said, "Well, I thought, the cave being military and all that, I thought he was one of the guards or something, a keeper." I said, "Well, you've seen the famous ghost of the chap with the dog." And that was that. Now, about a year or two ago, I took a group of teenagers down the cave. And when we came out, one of them says to this girl, says, "Tell Tito what you've told me." I said, "What's that?" He said, "I saw a dog down there." I said, "You saw a dog down there?" I said, "What's your name?" And she told me her name. They go, "Are you the daughter of so-and-so?" And she says, "Yes." They go, "Well, your mother told you. Come on." My mother hasn't told me anything.
We do know that one individual did pass away in the actual St. Michael's Cave. There's reports of somebody walking in many years ago and never actually walking out again. St. Michael's Cave, we know, was found around the times of the Romans. Since then it has had a lot of different type of uses, including prepared to be an old military hospital.
We're not here to change anybody's minds. We're not here to convince anyone. We're here to make a television program, to find answers to questions in a very different way, using technology, using science.
Essentially, the idea is that spirits, when they manifest, when they move things, when they go bump in the night, they are, because they are made of energy, this expend this manipulation of the physical world uses that energy, manipulates the energy, or the energy changes around them. So if you're in the right place at the right time when they are manifesting or trying to speak or trying to make a spirit orb of light, for example, there will be a fluctuation in the electromagnetic field in the area. So these devices really, that's all they do. They just pick up on these changes. Now these devices will also pick up a microwave. They'll pick up a power socket. You know, electromagnetic energy is everywhere. But what we look for as paranormal investigators is we look for direct changes in the electromagnetic field when we have asked for an effect or we're expecting something. Or, for example, in an area where there are no electrical currents, nothing that could disturb the electromagnetic field. So when there is a complete dead electromagnetic field and suddenly there's a spike or a bit of movement, we kind of get the impression that this could be a spirit manifesting, and indeed sometimes these changes in the electromagnetic field come accompanied with a spirit voice that comes through a digital recorder or through the echo vox or a light orb that someone may have picked up on a camera. That one was weird. That one. Shut up. All right.
And when we first set up, I said to Lee, should we just do a little sort of off-camera, little sort of like test thing for the echo box? And we turned it on, and as soon as we turned the echo box on, even before anything had actually started, we got some interesting voices. And again, some of the crew actually heard these voices, and they were very negative.
For me, very challenging as a medium, because I had to make sure that the energy that I was channeling, it was safe to do so, and there was lots of souls, there was lots of spirit that were all trying to affect the crew in some way, shape or form.
Over the centuries, people used to come here to duel. We know that much.
To duel?
Yeah, because dueling was illegal.
There's two people that I could get information and channel fully, but initially what I want to do is just get protection and start how we should. So maybe the guys want to ask questions.
We went into Lower St. Michael's Cave, which I'd spotted from the top, and I thought, that's where I want to go. And when we went, that was pretty interesting for me. This is where we began to really, I think, get some solid hits on the echo vox and get the sensations that go through you when a spirit is in the area manifesting and affecting people, and not just Sam, who's quite receptive.
Please help me, please help me, please help me.
But also the rest of us. I myself felt very much on edge during that first place already.
It was meant to be another location, which the arrangements for that collapsed at the very last minute due to health and safety issues. And sometimes I wonder whether these things are meant to be, because St. Michael's Cave didn't disappoint. There was a lot of evidence that suggests that we made some sort of contact with someone from the afterlife. There's a suspicion that at some point in history, Dita was telling me earlier, that
experimentation, I get very strongly.
That this area was used as a discard pit for...
Who the hell? Right, let him out. I need to get them out. He's after Lee. He's after Lee. Lee, will you just go with something about you? Now I'm getting it. 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 Am I able to divulge what I picked up last week with Jonathan? Or would you prefer
yes, of course.
to keep that in confidence?
No, by all means.
Okay, well perhaps you explain to Jonathan what I picked up last week, and then it'll make sense as to why you're feeling what you're feeling, and then just look at
Well, this was what we spoke about my history in the past, and I mean I've also at one point in my life turned to Wicca and moved away from the Catholic Church.
Yeah.
I didn't really practice very much, but I got into the religion and identified with it, and it kind of made me feel a little bit freer in my life. But recently I've moved away from that again and gone back to Catholicism with a little more vigor than I did when I was younger, possibly. Perhaps because of what I've experienced over the...
Yeah. So the dark, what I picked up last week about the experience that you've had with darker energy, should I say, and I don't like to name it good or bad, the darker energy experiences that you've had in your past with Ouija boards and things like that's what I'm picking up here, and that's why spirit at the moment are attracted to that energy vibration, if that makes any sense. So that's what I was picking up here. So yeah, it's certainly what you're feeling, an awful lot of emotion right now in here.
I felt, while you were speaking, I got
Yeah.
quiet, but I had a headache, sort of, and then I felt my glasses just lift a little bit while you were channeling, and then you screamed at me.
So yeah.
So-
So what can happen is we're in an area of such density and dark, light and dark, but an area of density.
Have we
right
had
now, and this
any,
is what we're all feeling.
Have we had any readings on the machines?
No, nothing.
Nothing
That's
at all.
very difficult here, Jonathan, with the water
It's
and
not
the
easy.
electric sounds.
It's not exact. Now, the makeup of forces. I heard labour. We all heard labour. didn't
You see what's happening with me.
we? Who is here with us? Would you give us a name? Something there.
It's something we'll have to listen back to.
Yes. Do you want us to get out?
Partner?
Butler. I heard butler.
I heard partner.
Butler. Is your name Butler? Are you a sailor? Are you a sailor? Butler. Give us a sign, Butler, come on.
I'm hearing some words, but they're coming out quickly.
Sailor.
I think that may have been sailor. If we could play that back. I can't play that back right now.
And one of the most interesting Echo Box hits was with Tito. We went down into one of the other sections before we went down into the lower caves, and he mentioned